Hello and welcome to Revenge of the Drive-In. This is our Season 3 awards and recap, so we're not going to be talking about the two movies that we usually do. Instead, we're talking potentially about 48 films, because that is how many films we've covered this season, although I will say some of the films have not been nominated for anything.
That is true, yeah.
It's true of like 3 or 4 of them, I think. So Jared, the guest we had on for the Delta Force and Young Rebels, we didn't nominate shit from that episode. So sorry, Jared, you were a part of
you got the shit
two of the
end
weakest
stick,
movies.
pal.
I thought it was a good episode though. But anyways, I'm Patrick, and I'm joined as usual by
Jim. Hello, everybody. Hello, Patrick. How are you, my very best good dear friend?
I'm doing great. This is a lot of fun. We did this for season 2, where we did an awards thing, and I'm going to once again explain it because it's not that complicated, but at the same time, usually when you have people voting on an award, say an Academy Award, an Emmy, a Grammy, you have more than 2 people voting, so we have to be a little bit... we have to compromise a bit. We had a lot of ties last time, and we may have the same this time, but what happens is Jim and I each separately filled out our list of nominations for various categories. Then I took the 2 lists, chose if we had the same thing, if we both nominated the same thing, it was going to be nominated, and if we didn't, I would go off like the highest number because you and I both ranked them. So as for the actual voting, because I do not know how you've ranked the final nominees, nor do you know how I ranked my final nominees.
Yeah.
We will go over what do we have as 1. If we have the same number 1, that's obviously the winner. And if we have different, we're going for like the highest, or I guess the lowest, if you will, 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, the lowest average. So if your number 1 is my number 3, but my number 1 is your number 4, your number 1, which is my number 3, would be the winner. And
should I get a pen and do like a bit of
No,
math?
You don't need to worry about this. I have a pen.
Okay, good.
I may not use it, but...
Mine's in my living room.
Okay. I've got my phone right next to me, so for if we need a calculator, but we're dealing with numbers no greater than 10 here, so let's hope I don't need it. But yeah, so all that having been said, let's start off with our first category, worst movie. Yeah, we needed to do it. We didn't do this is a new one. We didn't do it last year. And Jim, do you want to read off the nominees for the worst movie?
Absolutely do. Hold on. Here's the drum roll.
Oh, my ears.
The nominees for worst movie of our season 3 is The Angry Red Planet from 1959.
Oh, yeah.
The Giant Spider Invasion from 1975.
All right.
Inseminoid, which was...
previously your favorite film ever.
Yeah, I don't know why. Super Dragon versus Superman from 1975.
Controversial inclusion because we both liked that. I don't know how it got nominated. We had that as the superior film to Emmanuelle, even though Emmanuelle isn't nominated here. Yeah. So.
And Valley of the Dolls, 1967. Right.
So, Jim, what is your number 1 worst film of the season?
The absolute worst film of the season, I assume it's yours as well, is The Angry Red Planet.
So we have a winner, The Angry Red Planet. Best at being the worst, the winner. For me, it was pretty easy. There wasn't anything that close to it.
No, and it's a shame because I think the story itself was all right, but it was just the execution, right? Is what really...
It was just the ugliest film I've ever seen, just about.
That neon orangey red light that gave me a headache for an hour and a half. Yeah.
Ugly stuff. All right, so our next category. This is also another new category. We're going with Best Stunts. And we're talking about the entire movie, not an individual stunt. But our nominations are The Lost World, Jurassic Park, Mad Max, Puppet Master 2. Don't sleep on those fire stunts, kids. Those were pretty fun.
Careful, you'll get burned.
The Terminator, also a few fire stunts in that one. Arnold gets set on fire, doesn't he? I mean, his stuntman does or something. And Thunderball, which I don't remember if you nominated it. I nominated it. I figured just all the diving, all of the underwater stuff, as boring as it is, that's stunt work, right?
I will say I nominated that specifically because of all the cool, like, parachuting out of the planes into the water.
Okay.
And stuff, and I was like, yeah, pretty cool.
Okay. So, Jim, what is your number one?
My number one for best stunts is Mad Max.
And it is unanimous. That is mine as well.
Can we talk about the Knight Rider chase scene and how it's like 20 minutes
We'll
long?
talk about it later because you nominated
right.
it. It made the best scenes list, didn't it?
It did. Okay, we'll talk about it later then.
All right, so this next category, best quote.
Now listen, we got some good ones here.
We've got some good ones.
Do you want me to read them out?
I'll read off the first. We'll switch off. I'll read off the first one, and this is from the film Animal House. Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no. Spoken, of course, by John Belushi as Bluto.
It's a great line, yeah. And then we have, I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I can't even read it. In all this excitement, I'm too excited. I kind of lost track myself. But this being a .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off, you've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? And that's obviously from...
And that's from Inseminoid.
It is, yeah. It's obviously from Harry Callahan in Dirty Harry.
Yes. Of course. Okay, so the next one, I'll do the first part because these are two characters speaking. This is from Gone with the Pope from our last episode.
So you want me to say the second part?
You'll say the second part. Paul, why me?
Why not?
Classic line delivery. Why don't you go ahead with this next one because I'm going to have trouble with this. It's a weird one.
Oh, it's a good one, dude. I'm a fuel-injected suicide machine. I am a rocker. I am a roller. I am the out-of-controller. I am the Knight Rider. From the Knight Rider, Mad Max.
Yeah, so again, we're talking about that Knight Rider chase already. It's back. All right, this next one, this was, I don't want to say controversial, although we did, in our episode on this film, discuss how it doesn't actually sound quite like he's saying this line exactly as it's written. Or as it's apparently said, but Freddy Krueger, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, welcome to primetime, bitch. Classic Freddy's signature line, and he's got a lot of great lines. He's got a lot of terrible lines, too.
Can you redo that one for me in the Freddy voice?
I can't do the Freddy voice. If you want to try it, go ahead.
Welcome to primetime, bitch.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. How's your Charlton Heston for the next one?
I can give it a go. Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape.
That's good. That's from Planet of the Apes, of course. And then, I'll let you do this one because you do this accent pretty good.
Oh, I love this.
Next one, yeah. We should have planned it out so that you were going to do this from the beginning, but yeah.
This one had to make the list on my end.
It did.
You're bashed. Losers always whine about their bashed. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. From The Rock. That's said by Sean Connery.
From obviously. The Rock, yeah. Okay. Who's the famous Englishman, Sean Connery, according to that one villain in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so the next one from Soylent Green. Soylent Green is people.
I just spit my water out.
All right. I mean, it's
good.
a classic line.
Good. Another classic. I'll be back.
Sorry. You can do the accent if you want to, but
okay,
yes, I'll be back.
Hold on, let's reverse it. I'll be back.
All right, classic stuff.
Now here,
from the Terminator.
You do the first part of this next one, and I'll do the second part.
Okay. Aren't you in the wrong room, Mr. Bond?
Not from where I'm standing.
That's a Thunderball. That's Fiona, Luciana Paluzzi, and
I think she's in the tub,
Bond,
right?
She is in the tub. My favorite part of that movie is when she's like, hey, can you give me something to put on? And he just gives her a shoe.
Oh, I do. Yeah, that was the best.
that is the best. Not my favorite line from Thunderball, by the way. In this, I nominated a different one. It didn't make it, and that's fine. You and I, in general, had a lot of real different nominations. We seem to disagree a lot, but with some exceptions, I'm not going to make fun of you for your choices because I thought they were all pretty good. But all that having been said, what is your number one quote here from these 10 nominees?
Well, my friend, I think it would be a disservice if this wasn't my number one quote, and it's my "Do I feel lucky? Well, do ya?" punk line from Dirty Harry.
Okay, interesting. Okay, that is my number 2.
Oh, what's your number one?
My number 1 is "I'll Be Back."
Oh, wow. Okay.
So where does that fall in your ranking?
Dude, that's number 9 for me.
Okay, so the Dirty Harry quote, I'm feeling lucky. This Dirty Harry quote is the winner then.
Well, can I tell you my number 2 anyways?
If you want to. Yeah. it's the losers always. Is it that one?
Yeah, that one. It's so good.
I thought that would have been your number 1, quite frankly. I was surprised when you said the Dirty Harry one was your number 1.
Well, it was originally my number 1, and then I forgot that Dirty Harry had one of the greatest lines in cinema history.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, you didn't nominate that. So that was it. Almost had I forgotten it, it wouldn't have been nominated at all. So you have me to thank. Best song. We've got 5 nominees here. I went with, I think these are all original songs for the film. I'm going to say yes, they all are. They all are. You originally nominated a few songs that appear in Animal House that are not original songs.
Yeah.
But I think we got a good 5 here. We've got Django by Rocky Roberts and Luis Bacalov, the theme song from Django, of course.
And if you want me to remind you, it's Django.
Well, sure.
Django.
Don't remind me too much because that video on YouTube got a claim on it for when we used that from the trailer. So we have "Come With Me" by Puff Daddy and Jimmy Page from Godzilla, the forgotten classic rap rock song of the 90s. It appears briefly in the film, then it's the end credits song, so it counts. We have "Jackknife" by Jeffrey Mitchell from Gone with the Pope.
Jackknife.
Classic song. Twice. It's so good.
It is.
We have "Dream Warriors" by Dokken from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. One of the best horror movie theme songs I think you have out there.
I think I agree, yeah.
Yeah, and then we have "Thunderball" by Tom Jones, of course, from the film Thunderball. So, Jim, what is your number 1?
I had to go with Django.
That is my number 1 as well, so we are more or less in sync here so far.
Now, what was your number 2?
Jackknife.
Dude, that's my number 2.
It's just a really great song.
It's a great song. It's a shame you can't download it anywhere.
Yeah, it's a shame. I looked everywhere for it. Spotify, YouTube, Napster. The only place I could find it is part of it appears in the Gone with the Pope trailer. Which means I think part of it appears in our episode because I use clips from the trailer. But. So we're doing a best special effects or best makeup effect. And Jim, do you want to start off with the nominees here?
We've got a lot of nominees. This is a 10er.
Yeah,
this is a 10-1.
Yeah, exactly.
First nominee is The Cabin in the Woods from 2012.
Some classic David Leroy Anderson stuff, the husband of Heather Langenkamp.
Oh, really? I'm sure I knew that. I'm sure we spoke about this already.
It did. Yeah, Heather Langenkamp has a credit on that film, doing the makeup with her husband there.
That's cool.
She also has a cameo, I just learned recently, in one of the Star Trek movies, one of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies. She plays an alien, and they just put a bunch of makeup on her because she was doing makeup on that movie too. So,
dude, that's cool. Good for her.
Yeah, Google Heather Langenkamp Star Trek. There's it's kind of funny.
Well, you know what else is kind of funny, though the special effects and makeup are pretty decent? Forbidden World from 1982.
Classic John Carl Buechler. I think of the movies I've seen, I would say his best work.
The Buechler. We have Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, followed by Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers.
Also, Buechler's also involved in that one.
Beekler.
I don't think he's the main guy, but I know he did some stuff on that movie.
Oh. The Lost World, Jurassic Park from 97, obviously.
Yeah, really the only one here that makes heavy use of visual effects, like CGI, but still a lot of practical stuff, obviously.
Mandy with Nick Cage in 2018. Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Planet of the Apes from 68. Puppet Master 2, and The Terminator. So, Patrick, you tell me, what was your number one?
The Lost World, Jurassic Park.
Dude, me too.
It's not fair because it probably has 3 times the budget as like all the other movies in there at least.
Well, you know what? And
but there's some great effects in that movie.
And you know, like a lot of these movies on this list have genuinely good effects. And like something like Forbidden World has surprisingly great effects for the budget.
But I thought so, yes.
Yeah, and I obviously agree. But then the problem with Jurassic Park is it is such a big budget movie, and when the CG dinosaurs still look real 20 years later, you kind of have to give it to Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I mean, the Triceratops wiping out that camp, it all looks amazing.
Oh, that was awesome. And when he's breathing out his
even the animatronic Triceratops. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so the next category here, and I'll take the lead on this one. This one comes with a caveat here. We actually debated doing this category in the past. I believe you vetoed it. Maybe I did. I don't remember. But I feel that this is an essential aspect of some of the films that we talk about. Not all of them. And so this category is Hottest Actress. All right? Don't blame us. Blame the filmmakers. Blame Jim Wynorski. Blame all these people for now. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean all of these women are nude. In fact, I want to say most of them aren't in this movie or in this category.
Yeah,
some of them are. But yeah, so this is this, and we're leading off with going alphabetically by the actresses. We've got Karen Allen from Animal House. Meh. We've got Michelle Bauer from Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge. Yeah, a small role, but a memorable one. We have the incomparable Monique Gabrielle from Deathstalker 2, who we spent a lot of time talking about.
Yeah.
We have Rebecca Gayheart from Urban Legend. She's the killer in that movie,
one.
right?
Yeah.
She's the curly haired. Yeah. We have Linda Harrison from Planet of the Apes playing Nova. We have Anna Hutchison from The Cabin in the Woods. She is Chris Hemsworth's girlfriend in that one.
Yeah, did I nominate this or did you?
You nominated her.
Yeah, because
I think she would have probably been my 11th or 12th choice. She would have been close.
Gotcha.
But so yes, Anna Hutchison. There's no N in there. You think there should be, but we have Tara Reid from Urban Legend, who plays the shock jock radio DJ.
Yeah, dude, she's smoking, dude.
I mean, this is prime Tara Reid. It was Urban Legend, the American Pie right after. Like, the world was her oyster. And then now she's in Sharknado movies, you know? Nothing good can last. But we have, in my opinion, the underrated Charlie Spradling from Puppet Master 2.
So I gotta say, pal, I totally forgot about this role and this actress, and I looked her up.
I had a feeling you might have. Yeah, she's gorgeous. And we have, if not the most accomplished actress in this category, certainly the most famous, Sharon Tate from Valley of the Dolls. And lastly, we have Alicia Witt from Urban Legend, the main character, the redhead.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, the David Lynch regular, Alicia Witt. Jim, who is your number one?
So I think we're going to differ on this one because I've got a bit of a crush on this actress, or I did when I was a kid. And I'm going with Karen Allen for my number one.
She is my number 8.
Okay.
My number one is Monique Gabrielle. Obviously, I mean it's a no-brainer, right?
Dude,
I mean,
she's
what's wrong with you for not saying she's number one?
She's okay. Before I tell you what number she is, I gotta say it's just something in her face in Deathstalker 2 that I'm not a big fan of, and I don't know if it's her face acting that turns me off.
Yeah, the eyebrows, big eyebrows.
It's the eyebrow. I think it's the eyebrows that turn me off. But you'll never believe this. She's my number 8.
Oh my goodness. All right, so I'm getting the pen out here, folks, because this is getting complicated.
So, well, we've got 1 and 8 and 1 and 8. So we
yes.
guess. So I'll tell you my number 2.
Go ahead.
So when I looked her up, I thought, holy shit, I forgot about this scene as well, and it's Michelle Bauer. I wrote for number 2.
That is my number 2. So Michelle Bauer is the winner then.
And you know what? And I want to see.
The pen was a waste of time. I don't need it.
Sorry, pal. And I do want to say Monique Gabrielle, lovely, beautiful lady. What's that other movie that she's in?
She's robbed. She's robbed. What's Evil Tunes?
Yeah. See, if that was here, I probably would have picked her because she looks really attractive in that movie.
I love Evil Tunes. Everything she's in is a guilty pleasure for me. But yeah,
emphasis on pleasure.
Of course. Best score. We're back to 5 nominees for this. We have one downright controversial inclusion here because this was a score that both you and I shit on when we covered the movie. So I have no idea why you nominated it. But Jim, why don't you start off by reading them off?
I can't even pronounce the guy's. Is it Luis Bacalov?
I assume so for the score for Django.
Yeah. John Carpenter and Alan Howarth for Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Yep, classic. John Carpenter, of course. Actually, no, I was going to say he won it for Season 2, but no, it was A Fistful of Dollars. Ennio Morricone won our Season 2 award.
Well, after that, we have Jerry Goldsmith, the Jerry Goldsmith for Planet of the Apes.
Sure. This is the controversial one. I don't know. I thought you hated this guy.
I do, but I really like this score. Nick Glennie Smith and Hans Zimmer for The Rock. And John Barry for Thunderball.
And so, I just want to add something on John Barry because I nominated it. I don't believe you did.
No.
Listen, the James Bond theme, of course, you can't give him too much credit for that because that's been in previous films. I think Thunderball, as an original score, is the best Bond score up to that point. It's better than the music in Goldfinger. And I'm not saying like the song, because Shirley Bassey, Goldfinger, is best song ever written. But yeah, I just think John Barry, Thunderball, deserves some credit there. But all that having been said, Jim, what is your number 1?
My number 1 is Jerry Goldsmith for Planet of the Apes.
Mine as well. So we are back in sync here.
Okay, what's your number 2?
Carpenter and Howarth. Halloween 3.
I went with The Rock. I rewatched the movie like a month ago.
My number 5. We hated that score when we were talking about it.
But then when I was watching it back, I was like, you know what? The score really matches this movie. It's
this Hans Zimmer guy. Just like this misunderstood.
Movie, just like this movie, it's loud and bombastic and stupid, and I kind of dig it.
All right, that makes a little bit of sense. Not much, but a little bit.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
And so our next category is Best Sequel. And now, continuity is irrelevant, because definitely one of these movies has no continuity with what came before it. And I suppose maybe I should have made this clear beforehand. I don't know if you would have nominated Thunderball, or maybe you did and I didn't and it just didn't make it. But there is no Thunderball here.
Yeah, I didn't nominate Thunderball, I don't think.
That's fine. I think I would have taken all 5 of these movies over Thunderball anyways. So.
Me too.
First off, we've got, of course, Deathstalker 2. The greatest Deathstalker film ever made. Although Deathstalker 4 was pretty good, if I remember right. Deathstalker 3 is like unwatchable. It's like one of the worst movies ever.
I saw a clip of it the other day, and I was like, I can't wait till we get to that.
Oh, really? Okay, maybe I'm mixing up 3 and 4. I don't remember.
No, you're right, because I just want to talk about how shitty it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We have Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. This, of course, no continuity with the prior 2 Halloween films, but a very good movie in its own right. A unique film. A strange film, and an entertaining one. We have Mothra vs. Godzilla, which I believe holds the unique property of being a sequel to 2 completely different films, because I guess it's kind of a sequel to Mothra, which we haven't even covered, and it's a sequel to the prior Godzilla films, the last of which was King Kong vs. Godzilla, sort of. I don't really remember if there's continuity. Off the top of my head, I don't know if there's continuity with either King Kong versus Godzilla or with the original Mothra. So, but
there might be continuity of where like Godzilla comes from, because at the end of King Kong,
guess they sometimes do that. But yeah, he comes from the Earth though, and at the end of King Kong versus Godzilla, he's just going back out to sea.
Oh, I thought he was frozen in that one, or was he?
No, that's Godzilla Raids Again. He gets frozen at the end, and he wakes up in ice. That King Kong versus Godzilla has continuity there. But yeah, it's good enough for this category. It's a sequel. We have A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, one of the greatest horror sequels ever. Arguably the greatest film in the series. We kind of covered that back then. It's not quite my favorite, but it's up there. And we have Puppet Master 2, possibly the best Puppet Master film. I would say it's one of the 3 best or so. So, Jim, what is your favorite sequel from these 5?
I 110% threw all my chips on Deathstalker 2 for number 1. How about you?
Okay. That may very well win because that is my number 2. My number 1 is Mothra versus Godzilla.
Oh, you know what? See,
where do you have that ranked?
I have it as number 3.
Okay, so Deathstalker 2 takes it, I believe, right?
Yes, I guess so, yeah, if the math works out. I think, I don't know, I think Deathstalker 2 might be one of the best movies we've ever covered on this podcast. Genuinely.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I would say the same about Mothra vs. Godzilla, though. I think that movie's fantastic. No shade thrown to Deathstalker 2. It was my number 2.
Yeah, I have to rewatch Mothra vs. Godzilla. I don't remember much of it. I went back to kind of rewatch part of it a couple weeks ago, and I fell asleep, if I'm honest. So
okay.
And on that note, we're going to move on to our next category, which is Best Multi-Film Star.
Yeah, this is something I felt I wanted to, some of these guys might be up for Best Actor or well, actually, there's no actresses in here, but they might be nominated for another category, but we got to, recognize who really stood out this season in more than one film, right? And there's a lot, actually, or maybe not a lot, there's at least a few that didn't even make it. So, for instance, Christopher Lee, he was in 2 movies that we did, he didn't make it.
Yep.
The incomparable, what's that dude's name? John Vernon from Animal House and Dirty Harry didn't make the cut.
Oh, yes, that's right, yeah.
Kind of a minor role in Dirty Harry, but Animal House is great. So, Jim, you want to read these off?
I do. So the first name we have on our list is Nicolas Cage. And I think I'm going to read the movies off as well. He was in Face Off, The Rock, and Mandy.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 films. They're all movies that we enjoyed too. So obviously he's going to make it.
Sean Connery for Thunderball and The Rock, which is kind of neat because we have young Sean Connery kind of in, like, I wouldn't say his prime, but it's close enough to his James Bond prime. And then we have old Sean Connery in his acting prime.
Thunderball's his prime. Why wouldn't it be?
Well, I feel like
fresh off of Marnie. Well, Goldfinger's a better movie. Thunderball's the best Connery performance, I think, in that series. I would say he seems to be in the best shape. I think
you're forgetting You Only Live Twice, where he dresses as an Asian man. But let's move on.
That's not a performance. That's writing. That's directing.
Next, we have Peter Cushing for The Mummy and The Curse of Frankenstein.
Yep.
Robert Englund for Urban Legend and A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. And finally,
Urban Legend, not much more than a cameo, but
no,
enough to get him in this nominated.
Well, I like Robert Englund. I think I'm the one.
I didn't nominate him, but that's fine. I'm not judging you too harshly because that's one of the best Freddy's. Some of the best Freddy has ever been in Dream Warriors. So I'm here for it.
And finally, we have Arnold Schwarzenegger for Conan the Barbarian and The Terminator.
Yep, two of his earliest classic movies.
Yeah, and also
certainly one of his best.
2 movies with one movie has very little speaking. it's a minor speaking role, and same with the other one. For the most part.
He doesn't say a whole lot in Conan either. And he's already won Best Quote, so this is no, he didn't. Never mind. He was my number 1. No, the Dirty Harry won Best Quote. Oh, another thing I want to add. So we had a lot of actors here, obviously, that appeared in more than one film in this season. Although not as many as you seem to think there was, because you nominated someone who was only in one. You nominated Clint Eastwood, apparently forgetting that A Fistful of Dollars was season 2. I wanted to shame you for that, because Dirty Harry was the only one. So
did I really?
You did, but that's fine. That just means Peter Cushing got on there, I think, or something.
Yeah, that's good, because I forgot how good Peter Cushing was, I'll be honest.
Oh, he's so good. So my number one, all of that having been said, is... And it's not just because he's the only one in 3, but it's Nicolas Cage. I think his performance in Mandy and Face Off especially, like, he's just so much fun to watch in those movies.
Yeah, he's my number 1 as well, but I want to say that my number 2 is Peter Cushing.
Okay, that's fair. That's, Peter Cushing is fantastic, especially in The Curse of Frankenstein, which, hey, maybe we'll see him nominated for that later on.
And also, before we move on to another category, I just want to say the whole Nicolas Cage thing. I mean, here we have 3 completely different movies with 3 completely different characters, like totally like like the most different you could possibly have.
Pretty much, yeah.
And he knocks them all out of the park. Like, really, he does. He's fantastic.
Yeah, I would say he doesn't stand out that much in The Rock, but certainly in the other 2, he's incredible.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
I mean, this isn't shade on The Rock. It's just it's a different. He's not being asked to do as much as he's doing in Face Off or Mandy, obviously. No, two of the best performances of his career.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think he said Mandy was one of his favorite movies to do, but his favorite movie was Pig.
that was one of his. Yeah, Mandy was one of his top 5. Yeah, and Pig, I believe, was his number 1. So. All right, now we are moving on to the category of Best Schlock Movie. I think I object to one of these being considered a schlock movie, but whatever. Well, hold on. The nominees are... Yeah. What?
Yeah, never mind. Go on. Sorry. Go on.
The nominees are... Deathstalker 2. Yeah, you've already heard that name plenty of times. You're going to hear it more. Forbidden World. Gone with the Pope. Mandy, which I think is kind of the odd man out here. I mean, there's schlock elements to it, but I don't really feel like it's a schlock movie, but, that's me. And Puppet Master 2. Jim, what is your favorite schlock movie from this season?
Dude, it's got to be Deathstalker 2.
And
it really does. That's mine
one. As well. Deathstalker 2 looking like Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King with the awards.
Winning everything. Now, see, I want to make a case for Mandy because it is kind of like it's like art house schlock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have all the elements of a schlocky movie in there, but it's more artistic.
Yeah, that's true. I would say the same about Gone with the Pope. It's an artistic film.
Autistic, yeah, sure.
Oh. Take that, Duke Mitchell.
Fuck.
Okay, so our next category, Best Kill Collection. So we're talking all of the kills in said film. This, if I'm not mistaken, when we nominated things, we had very little in common. So we don't appear to be, at least so far, on the same page looking at this movie, and that's fine. I'm all here for it. It's exciting. Jim, why don't you read off the nominees?
Well, first nominee is The Cabin in the Woods. Then we have Conan the Barbarian. Halloween.
A lot of great beheadings in Conan. You got to appreciate it.
There is. I want to bring up something afterwards, after we come to the winner of this. Then we have Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
There's another beheading in that, and of course...
Is, yeah.
The only film we've done, I believe, this season to feature a small child getting his head burst open by snakes and bugs, I think.
I think so.
I think it's the only time we've done that.
Is it the only child death that we've covered?
Oh, it can't be.
In this season?
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, after that, we have Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers.
You know what? It probably is because Spielberg pussied out and didn't kill the kid in the opening scene of The Lost World. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, fuck you, Spielberg, you fucking bitch.
But yeah, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, if you missed that because I interrupted Jim, so...
The Lost World, Jurassic Park. Mandy, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, Puppet Master 2, Saw 3, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, Patrick, my friend, you give me your number one.
I have a feeling this won't be your number one, but I have a feeling you'll still respect it as a decision, and that's Puppet Master 2.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what, Puppet Master 2 is on my list at 8.
Oh my goodness. I'm getting the pen out again.
And here's the thing. I liked Puppet Master 2, but the problem is we did so many good fucking movies this season, and a lot of them, it was close. It was close. I had to put Puppet Master 2 at 8. My number one...
Are you forgetting that the same film features multiple people getting set on fire, as well as Tunneler drilling into the head of Patrick, the character?
Yeah,
how amazing that was?
I did. That was amazing. But I also remember the Tunneler drilling through the back of a Nazi soldier in Puppet Master 3 and coming out
Not
of his
as good.
gut.
Not nearly as good. It was good. It was satisfying. It wasn't the same. But go ahead. Give me your number one.
My number one, you're definitely not going to agree with this, but I just thought all the kills in it were brutal, or most of the kills were very brutal. And it was Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers.
So that makes it the leader in the clubhouse, because that is my number 7, which means it is ranked higher than Puppet Master 2 in terms of total points.
Oh,
but
okay.
Probably not going to win, though, because it has an average of 4. It's 1 plus 7. So... give me your number 2.
Oh, my number 2. I forgot that I wrote this too. My number 2, I don't think it's going to be yours. It's The Cabin in the Woods.
That's my number 3. That could win it.
So what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Dream Warriors.
Oh, see, that's a good one. That's a good one. Dream Warriors for me is 4.
Okay, so Cabin in the Woods takes it then.
Well, listen,
upset.
I'll tell you what my 3
upset.
was.
I don't know if it's an upset. Okay, what was that?
My 3 was Mandy.
Okay.
And for me, all of that stems from like the chainsaw fight, the killing of Jeremiah Sand, the killing of those
crushing
bikers.
His head.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Oh, the bike. Yeah, that's when he's the Cenobites. Yeah, those guys.
The biker bites. Wait, what one? Cabin in the Woods?
Cabin in the Woods 1, of course, the famous mermaid death. Stuff.
Dude, right before we sat
Chris Hemsworth
down.
riding his bike into an invisible barrier.
Yeah, right before we sat down, I got giggling about the mermaid death. I may or may not have done some re-ranking right before we sat down.
All right. Best fantasy film. And we've got 5 nominees here. Jim only nominated 2 because he wasn't thinking as creatively as me in terms of what's a fantasy film.
I am an idiot.
And so our first 2 here are the obvious ones, Conan the Barbarian and Deathstalker 2. 2 sword and sorcery films. No one would not say they're fantasy films. But then we also have Mothra vs. Godzilla. My reasoning here, I don't consider most Godzilla movies fantasy, but Mothra is such a fantastical creature.
Yeah.
I think this movie definitely qualifies. I have A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. I mean, it's Freddy, he kills you in your dreams. That's as fantastical as it gets. And we have Puppet Master 2, which is also kind of a sci-fi movie, but there's definitely fantastical stuff in it with the reincarnation plot. I would have accepted the Mummy movies that we covered as fantasy movies, but I did not nominate them. So, of those 5, what is your number 1? I have a feeling I know what it is.
Well, it's not Deathstalker 2, but I did go with Conan the Barbarian because it is pretty much a straight fantasy movie, and there are really cool elements to it, like him finding the sword in that little cave. Like, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All the temple worshippers and stuff, and turning into snakes.
The snake arrow, poison snake arrow, classic stuff.
All that stuff's cool. And he also punched a camel, and I don't know what that has to do with fantasy, but I liked it a lot. So.
And it's so cool, in fact, that it is my number 4.
Oh.
So probably not going to win, but we shall see. My number 1 is Mothra vs. Godzilla.
Well, it wins because that's my number 2.
All right, Mothra vs. Godzilla. Japan needed a victory here, and they got one.
Yeah, America has Oppenheimer.
After Oppenheimer came out, they need some help.
Yeah. But no, you are right though about Mothra being kind of a fantastical creature, and I had totally
sure.
Well, and I totally forgot about that kind of like
The twin
plot
fairies.
about the island, yeah, and the fairies and all that shit. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, I allow it. I'll allow it.
It is as fantasy as it gets. Yeah, Godzilla's a scientific creation. Mothra, straight fantasy. Best villain is our next category.
Now
and we have. Oh, go on.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I didn't. I think I have like 2 on this list that we came out with. Actually, maybe 4. But
This list had some weird. This category had some weird nominations. If I'm being quite frank, I some of these are like. So obviously, I'm speaking about yours, but like some of these I wouldn't have had anywhere near my top 5. But that's fine.
Well, I know this one's yours. The first one here is Scorpio, Andy Robinson, and Dirty Harry.
Yeah, no kidding. He's awesome.
I know, yeah. This one was mine, and I assume this is one of the ones that you think is weird. Michael Myers, who's played by Tom Morga and George P. Wilbur in Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers.
Yes, I think it's... Well, I don't think it's that weird, but I think it should be viewed as weirder than it probably is, because I think Michael Myers has pretty much sucked outside of like one movie. I think he's boring as shit, except for in the original movie.
You know what,
I am not a
He
Michael
is-
Myers fan.
He is fucking villainous in this movie.
I mean,
He's just
sure.
doing crazy shit. He's killing mechanics and store clerks.
He kills the mechanic in every movie.
Yeah,
he
that is
needs
true.
to get
But
that suit somehow.
And he's fucking driving that big truck through the
he
mechanic
drives
shop.
trucks through stuff in every movie. too.
Listen.
That's my problem with Michael Myers is he does the same old shit in like every movie.
That's fair. Okay,
It's
maybe
absurd.
you're right.
But
Maybe you
yeah,
shouldn't
I'm
have made the
not a
list.
huge Michael Myers fan. I mean, I think he's the less fun Jason Voorhees. Basically, Jason is everything Michael is, except he's fun, in my opinion.
Well,
the next one, of course,
is also fun. Major Krause.
very much so. Yes,
played by
everyone's-
Richard Lynch.
Richard Lynch, everyone's favorite Nazi, Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge, outstanding performance.
Yeah. Then we have the Terminator, played by old Arnie in the Terminator. Obviously.
Classic villain.
And I threw this villain on the list because he is a villain. Emilio Largo.
I mean,
by Adolfo
everyone nominated
Celli.
is a villain, but Emilio Largo, Thunderball, doesn't rank too high on my list of Bond villains, to be quite frank.
No,
But
I
that's
threw him
fine.
in because I was like, he's a Bond villain. You got to throw him on the list somewhere.
I mean, Thulsa Doom from
Yeah,
Conan. We
I
had
don't
some
know.
quality folks that didn't make it here.
He was kind
Freddy Krueger,
Yeah. You're right.
Toe
This is
Cutter.
my- Toe Cutter. Oh, I forgot.
We had some
about
good
Toe Cutter.
villains here. What's the guy's name in Mandy? That evil
Jeremiah
Christian
Sand?
dude or whatever. Yeah, he's a good one.
Hey, I put him on my list.
Oh, did he? Okay, well, I guess we have me to blame for that then.
Yeah, you're welcome. So
Who's your number one, Jim?
My number one is Major Krause. He's my favorite.
It's a worthy pick. It's a worthy pick. I don't hate it. It's my number 3 though.
Oh, okay. Who's your number one?
The Terminator.
Terminator's my number 2.
Okay. So Terminator wins.
The Terminator, he's not even like he's a villain, but he's barely a villain. He's just kind of like, it's almost like he's like death incarnate. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's what
he's,
makes him a
he's
cool villain.
unrelenting. He's unrelenting evil, basically. Like, he cannot be reasoned with. He cannot be bargained with, to quote Michael Biehn. Michael Biehn, another one, by the way, in multiple films, not nominated in that category because he has a fairly minor role in The Rock.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that he was in that.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't really stand out. He's good in The Terminator, but... All right, so best comedy film. I think this is the first season where we've actually had like 5 comedies to pull from, at least 5, where we could do this category. I could be wrong. That having been said, I would argue one of these films is not a comedy, at least not intentionally so.
Well, yeah, and I know exactly which one you're thinking of. Actually, maybe
Right.
2.
No, no, Deathstalker 2 is a comedy. It is. That's outwardly a comedy, and I love it. So the nominees are Animal House, The Cabin in the Woods, Deathstalker 2, Gone with the Pope, which was not supposed to be a comedy, at least I don't think. I'm not 100% sure. And Repo Man, of course. Jim, what is your number one?
You might hate me for this because I have a feeling I know what your number one is, but my number one is Deathstalker 2.
It's my number two. I don't hate it. My number one is Animal House.
Uh-oh. We have a problem here, dude.
Do we have a tie?
Because that's my number two.
Okay, we had a ton of ties last time. I think this is our first one, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you know what? I think Deathstalker 2 is just... It's one of those movies that is funny enough and stupid enough and schlocky enough that if you have friends who want to get into like bad movies or see a B movie or whatever, that's the movie you put on because everybody's going to enjoy it, right?
It's a hilarious movie. It has it has some like really intentionally funny stuff in it, and it's with how bad Monique Gabrielle is and everything. Like there's so much unintentional funniness too. And
then even like Animal House, dude, I totally forgot about the horse scene where they get the horse.
Oh, please! Sorry. No, you're right. I just watched Emmanuel in America earlier today, so I don't need to be reminded of horse scenes. But,
no!
It's a Black Emmanuel exploitation film. So
did she have sex with a horse?
No, and it wasn't Emmanuel, but there was sexual acts on the horse.
Did you see it?
I like some of it. Yeah, I mean, think Freddy Got Fingered.
Oh my god!
Okay, Freddy Got Fingered was inspired partially, perhaps, by Emmanuel in America. But
my god, dude!
Yeah, so I don't want to talk about horses. So best hero.
Okay, yeah. Well, we got some good ones for this. At the top of our list, we've got Inspector Harry Callahan, Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry.
Arguably a villain, but I mean, in the context of the film, he's the hero. But he's also like, that's what I love about him.
He's the heroic anti-hero.
Yeah, he's an anti-hero. I buy it.
We have somebody else who's kind of an anti-hero as well, but he's got one of the greatest names in cinema history. Max Rokitansky, Mel Gibson, Mad Max.
Sure.
Red Miller, Nicolas Cage, Mandy. Nancy Thompson, Heather Langenkamp, Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors. And this one, Stanley Goodspeed.
Well, if you'll excuse me.
Yeah.
When you nominated people, you just said Nicolas Cage, so I didn't know which movies.
Oh, yeah.
So I included the one from The Rock from Mandy because I wasn't sure.
Oh, okay, yeah. I see. When I
because he's a villain in Face Off, although he also is the hero in Face Off.
Wait, hold on. Give me 2 seconds. I want to go grab my other list because I want to see what else I wrote down.
But yeah, Stanley Goodspeed from The Rock, of course, played by Nicolas Cage. Kind of a weird inclusion, but as I've said, Jim gave me a very strange list, and I didn't know what to make of it in this case.
Dude, I'm not wearing a belt right now, and I ran down my hallway, and my pants fell down, and I fell. Speaking of comedies. What are we on? Best Hero?
Best Hero, yeah. Because you just had Nicolas Cage, and like, what the hell am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
Could I have reached out and asked you to clarify, I guess? But, you're busy working, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get a response.
On my original list, I had Clint Eastwood, Nick Cage, Mel Gibson, Charles Bronson, and Michael Biehn.
Yeah, you just had the actors, right? Did you not even say the movies? Okay,
no,
I could.
No, well, I had Michael Biehn. I mean, Terminator, Death Wish, Mad Max. That one's pretty. But then Nicolas Cage, I had The Rock / Mandy. You had both.
Okay.
I was just kind of doing like an overlapping thing. Like out of all the movies, he's.
Listen, we had an entire category for that, bro. For the best multi-film star.
Yeah.
All right. All of this having been said, Jim, what is your number one?
My number
Stanley
one.
Goodspeed.
No. He's a fucking bitch in that movie, dude.
I know he is. That's why it was a weird inclusion.
Bitch. My number one's got to be fucking Clint Eastwood, Inspector Harry Callahan.
That's mine as well. It was difficult for me to not have Heather Langenkamp number one because I think she's so... I mean, not the actress, but I think that's just such a fun, awesome hero in that movie. But it's Clint Eastwood. It's Dirty Harry.
Yeah, she was my number 4, actually. And I see what you're saying, but to me, she's kind of like a Stanley Goodspeed in the sense that, like, she's kind of... I don't know, she just kind of seems like a child. You know what I mean? Because she is.
Because she's a bad actress. It's not the character's fault. Madeleine Kemp's not a very good actress, okay? We talked about this.
We have. You're right. That's true.
All right. Best mystery/thriller movie. Your nominations included movies that I was not thinking of them as thriller or mystery films, but I was perfectly content. And some of those are included here, or at least one of them is, and yeah, 2 of them actually. And so it's like, yeah, I'm okay with those. So the nominees are as follows: Battles Without Honor and Humanity, Dirty Harry, Martin, Ring, also known as Ringu, and The Terminator. Jim, your number 1 is...
Ring.
Ooh, that's bold. That was one of the ones I wasn't thinking of as a mystery, but I'm like, yeah, you know what? It follows the investigation angle of the tape. Like, yeah, it fits. You know, I came across something a long time ago, and I thought this was pretty good. It's definitely not like a rule to live by, but about the differentiation between horror and thriller. Mm-hmm. And it said like horror focuses on the victims, and thriller focuses on the investigators. And I'm like, you know what? As just like a broad rule of thumb, that's pretty good. And Ring focuses on the investigators, who one of which eventually becomes the victim, of course.
Yeah, see, that's why I picked it, dude.
No, it's fair. I'm just
Thank you for backing me up.
It wouldn't have been it's not my number 1. It's my number 4, obviously. My number 1
dare you.
is... Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. My number 1 is Dirty Harry.
Well, Dirty Harry's my number 2.
Okay. So Dirty Harry takes it.
Gross Harold takes it. Yeah, and again, Dirty Harry, like, that probably would have been my number 1 if Ring didn't exist. But for me, Ring was just so much fun to watch for, like, the horror mystery angle. It was almost like an adult Japanese version of Scooby-Doo. Yeah, you know what I mean?
The whole point of Scooby-Doo is that nothing actually supernatural happens, though.
Well, yeah, but,
it's like
but
the
this was
opposite
actually
of that.
supernatural. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it was like, hey, let's get together and solve this mystery.
Although,
gang.
if I'm not mistaken, and you would know this better than I, but aren't in some of the Scooby-Doo movies, isn't there actual supernatural stuff? Is like Zombie Island, I think it's not.
Yeah, Zombie.
It's just what I've heard. I don't know.
Zombie Island is actually supernatural, and then also the second one, The Witch's Curse, actual supernatural, and that has the hottest ladies in it. The Hex Girls, they're great.
Animated. The hell are you talking about?
But they're the Hex Girls, dude, and they're gonna put a spell on you. So,
just like Screaming Jay Hawkins. All right, so best scene. We've got 10 nominees here.
Yeah, this is a long list.
We've got the Rustin Powerhouse scene from the Blair Witch Project, which is the climactic final sequence of the film. We have Callahan foiling a bank robbery from Dirty Harry. Of course, that has already won an award, that scene, because that had the "Do you feel lucky" quote. Mm-hmm. We have Django's graveyard shootout at the climax of Django. We have the Knight Rider chase from Mad Max, which also had a quote that was nominated, did not win, because it did not deserve to win, because Dirty Harry is endlessly quotable. We have the home invasion scene in Martin, which is the scene where Martin breaks in and is surprised to see that there's a boyfriend, and then like it's really hectic. I love that scene. I think that's one of my favorites.
Well, I love the shot when he leaps across the bed and stabs him with the syringe.
Yeah. We have the hunt scene from Planet of the Apes, which is the first time we see apes in the film. And, of course, classic music from Jerry Goldsmith, who's already won an award, of course. We have... Oh, fuck, I wasn't expecting to pronounce these names. Sadako emerges from the television to kill Ryuji from Ring. That is the most famous scene of, I mean, if you know one thing about The Ring or Ring, American or Japanese, it's that thing emerging from the TV. So classic stuff, of course. Also, the guy I don't remember the actor's name, but the guy who plays Ryuji is like, he's been in like a lot of American movies. He's a Japanese actor, obviously. He's now Mazda's spokesman. He's like in television
really?
commercials all the time. Yeah, I see him. It's like, oh, it's the guy from The Ring.
Well, the last movie he was in was Bullet Train, I believe.
Oh, he was in that? Yeah, that's right. He was also in the recent Mortal Kombat movie. Yeah, he's in like a lot of like big American movies. Like if they need like a Japanese guy, he's one of the go-tos.
He's the Japanese guy, literally.
He's up there, yeah. And we have...
And Ken Watanabe, sorry. Continue.
Yeah. Ken Watanabe is the other one, but he's not really an action guy. I mean, he probably was at one time, but he's a little older now. And then we have The Rock. It's the scene where everyone but Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery are killed. I think it's in like a bathroom, isn't it? Like a shower room.
Yeah, dude, it's a great scene. And Ed Harris is screaming. Scene. He's like, "Cease fire! Cease fire!"
So where Michael Biehn gets killed. This scene.
Yeah. One
of two Michael Biehn death scenes in this season, I suppose, because he also dies in the Terminator, right? I don't remember how he dies, but does he blow himself up? Yeah, he like sacrifices himself, doesn't he?
I think he just dies from his wounds, doesn't he?
Oh, maybe.
No.
Well, I know he has a pipe bomb. Yeah. We have the famous dinner scene in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The dinner with the scene with the grandpa, with Marilyn Burns tied up and screaming like a maniac. Leatherface got his lipstick on. That classic scene. One of the most terrifying scenes in film history. And lastly, shout out to Brad Dourif, we have the killer in the back seat scene from Urban Legend. A lot of good choices here. Jim, what is your number one?
Because there are so many good choices, this was really difficult. But
this was difficult. In fact, I'm actually switching my number 2 and 3 around right now because no one can stop me. But my number one's the same. But go on.
Is it perhaps Callahan foils a bank robbery?
That was my number 2. I just moved it to 3.
No way. So that's my number 1.
That's your number 1. Okay, that might win. My number 1 is the dinner scene, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Patrick, no fucking way. That's my number 2.
Okay, so that wins, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's how that works, right?
All right.
First off, the Callahan scene is so fantastic because
it's a great scene. I just didn't have it at number 1. I have no problem with that.
You're right, but Dinner with Grandpa is such a disgusting scene.
Oh, it's amazing.
I love everything about it, and it's just so good. Terrifying.
It's so good, yeah. I had a hard time picking. I think my top 3 were all close. I have the Callahan foiling and bank robbery, which I ended up moving to 3 just now. I also have the home invasion scene from Martin. I have that as my number 2. I think that's a fantastic scene. We're going back to the genres here because we are doing best sci-fi film. Jim, yes, we are. Please read the nominees.
Well, we've got The Curse of Frankenstein from 1957, Forbidden World, Mothra vs. Godzilla, Planet of the Apes, and The Terminator. Patrick, what was your number 1?
Relatively close with one of them, but I've got The Terminator.
See, you know what? That was my original number 1, but I went with Planet of the Apes because it's a true classic, I think.
It is. I thought you told me you didn't like it that much because you were not on that episode.
No,
and so a few weeks ago you were catching up and you were watching the movies that you weren't featured for, and you said like, I didn't like Planet of the Apes that much or whatever. You said something like that.
Yeah, I've changed tact. I've actually watched it twice since then, and I was like, I wasn't giving it enough credit. I think it's a fantastic film.
All that having been said, that is my number 3. So what's your number 2?
The Terminator.
Okay, so then The Terminator wins.
Yeah.
Second straight season in which James Cameron has taken the best science fiction film because Aliens won it last year. I believe it may have tied, but Aliens definitely best sci-fi movie last year. Best supporting actress, and you had one supporting actress here that I had nominated for best actress, so we that cleared itself up just fine. We have her in lead actress. The 5 nominees for best supporting actress, we have Jim's wannabe girlfriend Karen Allen in Animal House.
Very true. We
have Patricia Arquette from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. Arguably lead, but she definitely becomes the supporting in like the second half of the movie. She kind of starts out as the lead, but I would say Langenkamp is the lead in that, or Bill Maher, one of those two. Then Then we have Ellie Cornell, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. She is the older sister, the foster sister, or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think she's really good in that movie. She's better than that movie deserves, quite frankly. We have... Oh, God.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it
Olwen Fouere from Mandy? She is one of the cult members. She's
the old lady.
She also plays the old version of Marilyn Burns in the recent Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
Oh.
So shout out to her. Mandy is much better than that movie. And we have Susan Hayward from Valley of the Dolls, it's a relatively small role, but she is the actress who feels threatened by Patty Duke and eventually gets her wig ripped off. But I think that's a very good performance in that film that, quite frankly, has a number of bad performances. But, yes, so Susan Hayward. Jim, who is your number one?
So I definitely know it's not going to be your number one, but I went with old Olwen.
That's my number 5. I had nothing against her.
Well, you know what? She just played creepy old lady so well. And then when she pretended to be like nice to Mandy at the store, I was just buying everything that she was doing. And then when she was like telling Nick Cage, she's like, "I'll suck your dick." I was like, "Dude, you get my vote."
All right. Well, Karen Allen would have gotten your vote if she said the same thing too.
Absolutely.
I'll suck Donald Sutherland's dick. Okay, so my number one, and this was tough. I think my 1 through 3 were really close. And shout out as well. I don't think either of us nominated her, but whoever played B in Emmanuelle was very good.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to her.
I almost nominated.
She was nominated early in and then I think I calibrated it differently and I got rid of her. But my number 1 is Patricia Arquette, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
That is my number 2.
Okay, so she, at the very least, will tie for the win. Who is your number 2?
My number 2 was Susan Hayward.
Okay.
Or no, sorry, no, sorry. No, wait, no, sorry. Wait, well, hold on, I'm confused. Patricia Arquette was my number 2. My number 3 was Susan Hayward.
That's also my number 3. So wait, hang on. So your number 1 is Mandy Woman.
Yeah.
Irish Mandy. So my Arquette is my 1 and your 2. And your... Okay, so Patricia Arquette wins, yeah.
Yeah.
Susan Hayward was my number 3, but she was close. I said my top 3 were tough. So Patricia Arquette, a real-life winner of the Best Supporting Actress Oscar, now gets the far more... illustrious. We don't really have a name for this yet, do we? With this award,
should we call it the Revengers?
The Driveys?
Oh, the Driveys. That's a good one.
Driveys? I don't know. Yeah, we'll come up with this. We've got a long off season to discuss this.
What about the Innies?
There you go. Well, I mean, maybe. All right. So, best action adventure film. We've got 5 nominees again, and they are Dirty Harry, Face Off, Mad Max, The Rock, and The Terminator. Jim, my number 1 is Dirty Harry. What is yours?
Oh, my number 1's The Terminator.
That is my number 2. So what is your number 2?
Dirty Harry's my number 2.
So we've got a 2-way tie then, Dirty Harry and The Terminator. It was close between those two for me. I slightly prefer Dirty Harry, but nothing but respect for...
You know what?
My Terminator.
Yeah, I again,
nothing but respect for my governor.
Yeah, it was super close for me. It could have literally gone either way. I just decided to throw 1 on the Terminator.
Sure.
For best
shout out
supporting
to Face Off, because that was a tough number 3 for me, I think.
I have Face Off.
Hell, it might have been my number. It might have been my number 4. I have to check, but I felt it was my number 3. Yeah, because I'm not the biggest fan of either The Rock or Mad Max.
No,
I'm not sure what I would have nominated above either of them. Yeah, those probably... I would have probably put Conan above The Rock, but that's me. Whatever. Jim, why don't you start us off with the next category?
Well, we've got Best Supporting Actor. And for this category, we have John Belushi in Animal House. Lon Chaney Jr. in The Alligator People, which I have to admit I didn't see.
I was about to ask that. I when we were discussing which movies you needed to see, I said, like, Alligator People might be a little tough, and I said, like, I nominated it for 2 things, but it's probably not going to win either, so don't kill yourself trying to see The Alligator People. But obviously, Lon Chaney Jr., it's an honor to be nominated, but he's not going to win this category, obviously, because you're not going to rank him high. But
yeah, no, actually, I did. If I'm being I'll tell you later. Then we have Ed Harris in The Rock, Pete Postlethwaite for The Lost World: Jurassic Park, and Edward G. Robinson in Soylent Green. So, Patrick, who was your number one?
John Belushi.
Dude, I'm going to be honest. John Belushi was my number 5. And
you didn't even see the alligator people. How was he ranked above Belushi? Oh, no. That doesn't even make sense.
I put Lon Chaney Jr. at 4 because I figured he probably did a better job than John Belushi.
Belushi's great. What are you talking about? But I got Lon Chaney Jr. at 3. But
okay, before I tell you who my number 1 was, let me explain this. John Belushi, I feel like he didn't do a lot of acting. What he did was he just did a lot of yelling.
He did the facial expression. He did the eyebrows. He's the best eyebrow actor. Sorry, Monique Gabriel. He is the best eyebrow actor who's ever lived.
It just seemed like he was just normal fucking John Belushi, coked out, drunk John Belushi, and he just stood in the background of a movie.
It works for the character. I have no issues with
you know what
John Belushi being on any combination of illegal drugs.
Listen, I like John Belushi, don't get me wrong. But my number 1 was Pete Postlethwaite for The Lost World: Jurassic Park.
That's my number 4.
God damn it, Patrick.
I think it's a great character. The acting didn't blow me away. I love that character, but there's some performances that I think are better. Well, my number 2 is Eddie Robinson, Edward G. himself, for Soylent Green.
He's my number 3. I have another Ed Harris for number 2.
He's my number 5. So if I'm not mistaken, we have a 2-way tie between Postlethwaite and Robinson. We've got Edward G. Robinson and Pete Postlethwaite, right? Because we've got 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So I think those are our winners.
Dude, that sounds
Lon Chaney Jr. almost pulled off the upset, despite only being seen by one of us.
Yeah. Dude, that, by the way, Postlethwaite and Robinson sounds like a Victorian adventure novel.
Sounds like a law firm.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to those 2 actors, both of whom are no longer with us.
Yeah,
Edward G. Robinson, it's been 50 years, but no. Pete Postlethwaite's a more recent one. But best horror movie. We've got 5 nominees here. One of these was downright shocking to me, and I have no idea what it's doing here. It's not quite as egregious as Hellfest being nominated last year for best horror movie, but actually it might be.
Okay.
So the 5 nominees are The Blair Witch Project, The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, Martin, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, and The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, what's your problem?
What the hell's Curse of the Mummy's Tomb doing here? I nominated that for worst movie. that was like my 5th worst movie, I think, is what I nominated that for.
Did I nominate that?
Yeah. Unless you meant to nominate another movie or something.
Hold on. I'm looking at my original list, my master list. Well, my face is turned away from my microphone. Oh yeah, I did nominate that.
What the hell?
I don't know.
Where did that get? It's not even the best Mummy movie we saw.
I might have got it confused with the Mummy. Maybe, I don't know.
It's literally the 3rd best Hammer horror movie we did.
Okay, listen. Some mistakes were made, but we can move on because I'll tell you, my number 1 for best horror is The Blair Witch Project.
That's my number 3. My top 4 here were all close. I would put these all very close, but my number 1 is Martin.
Dude, I like Martin a lot. So you and I had this conversation. I had never seen Martin before. I thought it was actually a fantastic movie.
It's so good.
I have recommended it to many people since I saw it like 2 weeks ago or whatever. Martin is my number 3, though. My number 2.
So if we have the same number 2, we have a 3-way tie, I believe.
Oh my God! So is yours Dream Warriors?
It is not. That's my number 4. My number 2 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But like I said, the top 4, everything but Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, we're all really close.
Yeah, well, Curse of the Mummy's Tomb is 5. Mine 4 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
So we've got 2 winners here. We've got Martin and The Blair Witch Project.
And too, and I think like part of the reason I nominated The Blair Witch Project is I just think it was so important to cinema in the early 2000s.
It was, and I mean, it's a good movie too. Like I wasn't thinking of that when I ranked these. I think it's. I mean, again, I didn't have it as number one, but I had it as a strong 3. So
Well, and I also had it on as number one because it's still so believable. Like, it actually holds up as a found footage movie still today.
Yeah.
And then I guess this wasn't. I don't know if this made it into an actual episode or if it was a what's it called thing. What's the word I'm looking for when we do movie? When we do commentary tracks.
Oh yeah, commentary track, Patreon things.
Yeah, I'm not like when we discussed the Blair Witch Project.
Oh, the mockumentaries.
Yeah.
No, that made it to YouTube actually. So check out our discussion of the Blair Witch lore and accompanying mockumentary films on our YouTube page.
Yeah, so I used that, and I was also kind of like, that puts it in one for me. So much work went into it.
Absolutely. Although some of that sticks and stones is it's mostly recycled footage. Not that much work went into that, but yes. Best Actress. We've got another 5 nominee categories here. We have Heather Donahue for The Blair Witch Project, who, if I'm not mistaken, won a Razzie or was nominated for a Razzie because...
Which I think is unfair.
It's stupid. I mean, because she's actually good, but if people go into that expecting a traditional horror movie, it's not the type of performance that you would give in a traditional horror movie, maybe. So, plus the Razzies are stupid, let's be honest. We have, speaking of stupid, this was a shocking nomination, Jim, from you. Monique Gabrielle in Deathstalker 2.
Yeah.
I know you're goofing, I know you're having fun, but this was shocking still.
Yeah. Okay.
We have who you initially nominated as Best Supporting Actress, which, by the way, come to think of it, we could have put Gabrielle in Supporting Actress also, but
yeah, we could.
Danielle Harris in Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers. Excellent child actress, great performance. We have Sylvia Christel from Emmanuelle. And we have, God, I always get the weird,
do you want me to do it?
Names.
Do you want me to do it?
Nanako Matsushima from Ring.
Dude, you nailed it. Well, okay. Listen, I'm goofing, dude, but my number one is old Monique.
She's my number 5 because I took this seriously.
Well, I think we have to give it to her, though. She tried so hard.
She tried hard, but listen, there's one award that she should have won, and you put her at like 8 for that or whatever.
Yeah, because of her fucking eyebrows, dude.
Okay, my number 1 is Heather Donahue from The Blair Witch Project.
She's my number 2. She would have been my actual number 1 if I wasn't being a dickhead. So,
all right, so Heather Donahue wins it, and The Blair Witch Project is on a hot streak, winning 2 in a row, or 1.5 in a row. Because there was a tie there.
Can I read out these best kills?
Of course.
Best kills.
I was going to ask you to.
Good. This is what I was giggling at when we sat down. Bradley Whitford is devoured by a mermaid in the cabin in the woods.
Did you not nominate that? I know I did.
You did.
Okay, so did you forget about that?
I totally forgot about it.
It's a great moment.
I know. I was watching it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right before we sat down. And then we have Conan beheads Tulsa Doom.
Yeah.
Conan the Barbarian.
Thulsa, I believe. But yes.
My apologies.
He's not from Oklahoma. James Earl Jones.
Damn. We have Michael Myers stabs Kelly with a shotgun in Halloween 4.
Impressive. You got to give it to him.
Impressive feat of strength.
You don't see that too often.
No. We have Jennifer's head is smashed into a TV in Elm Street 3.
Mm-hmm. That's, of course, the Welcome to Primetime Bitch scene.
It's a great shot of her just hanging there afterwards. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
We have Puppet Master Freddy sends Philip to his death in Elm Street 3.
Yeah, so that's, the death itself, not fantastic because he kind of just falls, but the whole lead up to it, ripping the veins out, pulling him along like he's a puppet with the veins. Just if we're considering all of that, it's a fantastic death.
Yeah, so that's what I was considering when I nominated it. Also, I love how you just wrote "Torch sets people on fire." Puppet Master.
Yeah, controversial nomination considering it's more than one person that he does this to, but
but it's good. I like it.
It's amazing. Yeah, the fire stunts. Puppet Master 2 is a great fire stunt movie.
Now I have a question about this next one. Major Krause is dropped onto an axe in Puppet Master 3.
That's the short version, but yes, he's like cut up and tortured and all this stuff.
Now, do you in
the axe is what actually kills him, though? Is the point? Like, yes, he is hung up, and then there's a lot going on in that scene.
Yeah. Now, in the version that you watched, did you actually see him get like penetrated by the axe?
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah, me neither. I was wondering if you were watching like a different version or something.
But it was a David DeCoteau film, so he probably wanted to penetrate him.
Hashtag penetration kills. Then we have Sadako kills Takayama in The Ring.
Yeah, I wasn't descriptive on that because I didn't even remember it. I remember the scene where she comes out of the TV. I don't remember how she kills him, so that's why that one's vague.
You don't really see it, but I will say with that.
Then why the hell's it here?
Well, no, because she crawls her way out of the TV. It's the whole scene. She crawls her way out of the TV, and then he's kind of backed himself into a corner. He falls over, and then the camera cuts to her face close up, and you just see that one eye of hers staring back at him through her black hair, and it's terrifying.
All one eye.
All one eye. That's what they call her. And then it kind of freeze frames on him and cuts like a black and white version of him, and then he dies.
Yeah, whatever. Next one.
Detective Carey in The Angel Trap, Saw 3, which is probably one of the most famous traps in that movie, I assume.
Yeah, I think The Rack is probably the most famous, but this is probably a number 2.
And then finally, the Terminator rips out a punk's heart in The Terminator.
Who is? I don't remember. Is that Bill Paxton, or is Bill Paxton just another guy that's with them? I can't remember.
I know Bill Paxton's with them. I don't think that was Bill Paxton.
I think you're right. Yes, that's what I was thinking.
So, Patrick, my dear friend, what's your number 1?
I got Torch setting people on fire. Whether it's that fat lady who's the homely lady who's married to George Buck Flower, or the very end of the movie, the reincarnated Toulon gets set on fire or whatever, right?
Yeah, doesn't he also kill a kid in that movie?
Yeah, I don't.
But you don't see it, though.
I don't think you see it, but yes, he does kill a kid. Going back to, is Halloween 3 is not the only movie that kills a kid, I guess.
Yeah. Well, my number 1 is Bradley Whitford is devoured by a mermaid.
Okay,
but
it's worthy.
Torch was number 6 for me.
Okay, Bradley Whitford, Mermaid, that's my number 4.
Oh, okay. What's your number 2?
Well, my top 2 are Puppet Master heavy, because my number 2 is Freddy killing Philip.
Oh, you know what, dude? That's actually my, I'm surprised to say this, that's actually my number 8. I did some rejiggering before I sat down.
What's your number 2, then?
Jennifer's head is smashed into the TV.
That's my number 8.
Oh my god, dude, you're doing a lot of math on this one. What's your number 3 then?
The Terminator ripping out a punk's heart.
Oh, dude, that's number 10 for me.
All right, well, Bradley Whitford wins it then, because he's my number 4. He's your number 1.
Oh, okay. Well, here, I'll
Bradley
tell you
Whitford, devoured by a mermaid.
That's such a great scene, though. That I forgot how funny that movie is. That should have won Best Comedy. Well, actually, no, it shouldn't have. But it was still really good.
All right, so Best Actor.
Here, I'll read this out so you can read Best Picture.
Okay.
So, for Best Actor, we have Nick Cage, Mandy. Sean Connery, Thunderball. Peter Cushing, The Curse of Frankenstein. Clint Eastwood in Dirty Harry. And Charlton Heston in Planet of the Apes.
All worthy choices here. All, like, classic actors, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. This might be the first time we've had actual actors.
Like movie stars?
Yeah.
Nah, it's not. I don't know about that. Because we had Bronson last year, season 2. He was up for stuff. So was Eastwood.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you my number 1.
All right.
My number 1's Nicolas Cage.
That's my number 2. My number 1 is Peter Cushing.
Oh, well, my number 2 is Clint Eastwood, and Peter Cushing is my number 3.
Okay, so Nicolas Cage wins it.
Wow, little Nicky Cage getting the Best Actor. Finally.
Finally, he has one in real life.
Yeah, what did he win it for?
Leaving Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah,
Which I've never seen, but he plays a drunk in that, I know. All right, so our final category, this is, of course, 10 films. Best Picture. you and I feel like nominated a lot of different things here, so I don't feel like there's a whole lot of consensus, although we've had a lot of consensus so far with some of our picks, so maybe our final rankings of the nominations will be similar. But all that having said, we are going alphabetical, leading off with Animal House, followed by Battles Without Honor and Humanity. Of course, Deathstalker 2, Dirty Harry, Django, Mad Max, Mandy, Mothra vs. Godzilla, Planet of the Apes, and last, and possibly not least, although possibly least, I don't know where you ranked it, The Terminator. Jim, your number one, please.
My number one is possibly my most interesting movie watching experience of this season. And I had always wanted to see this movie, and it was thanks to this podcast that I actually sat down and watched it for the first time.
Is it Mandy?
It's Mandy.
Okay. That's my number 8. I don't hate it. You know, it's but it wasn't that close to my number 1. So my number 1 is Dirty Harry.
Well, Dirty Harry's my number 3. Battles
so
Without
that's
Honor and
going to win it
Humanity.
unless... Okay. Battles Without Honor and Humanity is your 2.
Yeah.
That's my 7. So Dirty Harry is the winner.
And you know
of
what?
Our best picture.
I'm totally okay with that because I think we had a lot of great movies. Like, that was what was really tough about filling out all these awards. Is it this season we probably had some of the best movies we've ever covered on this podcast.
It's up there. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which wasn't even up for Best Picture. Martin, which wasn't up for Best Picture. You know, Dirty Harry's a classic. Mothra vs. Godzilla is awesome. Deathstalker 2, one of the best B movies ever made. Gone with the Pope, an incredible viewing experience, of course. A lot of quality options here. Planet of the Apes is a classic.
I also want to say
Curse of the Mummy's Tomb apparently was one of the 5 best horror movies we saw this season. Even though
I wrote the wrong one down. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
I want to say for quotes, like I wanted to write down a bunch of quotes from Gone with the Pope, but they were either too racist or they didn't make any sense out of context.
Yeah, I think we had the best Gone with the Pope quote in there. I know it was wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Or like for best scene, I wanted to do the fat lady in Gone with the Pope.
Oh, that's the worst scene. That's the worst scene we've ever done. That's worse than Elvis and the Baby in GI Blues.
I know, yeah, when he's assaulting a baby. Yeah. But there were so many good things to choose from. Or also best scene. I really like that Deadpool scene in Cabin in the Woods.
Deadpool scene?
Where they're picking about how the kids are going to die. And he's like,
that's okay. You nominated that, and I had no idea what that meant. Deadpool. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I should have.
It's where they're taking bets on who's going to die from what? Or okay, I see.
Yeah,
it didn't make it anyways, but yeah, I had no idea what you were talking about when you nominated the Deadpool. What?
By the way,
in Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah. By the way, I took a screenshot of that whiteboard, and I just want to read off some of these things.
Oh, there's some fun ones, yeah.
Snowman, Dragon Bat, Vampires, Dismemberment Goblins, Sugar Plum Fairy, Merman, The Reanimated, Unicorn, The Huron.
Yeah, we see the unicorn later in the movie, I know.
Yeah. There's Dolls, Sasquatch / Wendigo / Yeti, Zombie Redneck Torture Family, Giant Twins, The Scarecrow Folk, and there's a couple of really good ones. There's Werewolf, Alien, Beast, Mutants, Wraiths, Zombies, Reptilius, Clowns, Witches, Sexy Witches, Demons, Hell Lord, Angry Molesting Tree. That's my favorite. And then there's a few more. There's one named just Kevin, which is good. But Angry Molesting Tree. I don't know what that means, but it's fantastic.
No, it's. I assume it's a reference to Evil Dead because there's a tree that rapes someone in Evil Dead.
What?
The original Evil Dead.
What? No. What?
Yeah, there's the lady, the Bruce Campbell's sister runs, or maybe girlfriend, I don't remember, runs out into the woods and she's like grabbed by a tree and it sticks a branch into her.
No.
Yeah. I assume that's what that reference is.
Great. That's great.
Yeah, so that has precedent. That is not a completely out of left field thing. It's a mostly out of left field thing.
Well, let's do a wrap up, I guess. Let's hear all the winners from all the
All right, yes,
categories.
of course. Let me go back to the beginning here. Our worst movie, The Dishonor, of course, went to The Angry Red Planet.
And it deserved it.
Best stunts, Mad Max. Best quote, I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I kind of lost track myself. But being this is a .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off, you've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? From Dirty Harry.
That was a great
It's the longest quote, of course, but happened. Best song, Django by Rocky Roberts and Luis Bacalov from Django. Special effects went to The Lost World, Jurassic Park. Hottest actress, Michelle Bauer from Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge.
Which I don't think we can be upset about that, really.
Monique deserved better, but Michelle Bauer is my number 2, so I can't complain. Shout out to Charlie Spradling, though, underrated.
Yeah, absolutely.
As I mentioned earlier. Also, like, Sharon Tate. I had her ranked pretty high, I think.
Yeah, I have her as 9, and you know why?
I did not have the urban legend girls nearly as high as you did. Oh, Tara Reid, I probably had it kind of high, but like you nominated like 3 urban legend ladies, and I don't know if they all need to be here. Best score, Jerry Goldsmith's score for Planet of the Apes. Best sequel, Deathstalker 2. Best multi-film star, Nicolas Cage from Face Off, The Rock, and Mandy. Best schlock movie, Deathstalker 2. Best kill collection is The Cabin in the Woods. Best fantasy movie, Mothra vs. Godzilla. Best villain, The Terminator.
Good villain.
Best comedy, our first tie, I think, Animal House and Deathstalker 2. Best hero, Inspector Harry Callahan from Dirty Harry. Best mystery/thriller film, Dirty Harry. Best scene, Dinner with Grandpa from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Best sci-fi movie, The Terminator. Best supporting actress, Patricia Arquette, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Best action and adventure film, another tie. We have Dirty Harry and The Terminator. Best supporting actor, another tie, because Jim hates John Belushi for some reason.
Yeah.
Pete Postlethwaite for The Lost World, Jurassic Park, and Edward G. Robinson for Soylent Green.
Yeah.
Best horror movie, another tie. We were doing well with not having ties, and then suddenly we went crazy here. But The Blair Witch Project and Martin. Best actress, Heather Donahue from The Blair Witch Project. Best kill, of course, the mermaid kill from Cabin in the Woods. R.I.P. Bradley Whitford. Best actor, of course, Nicolas Cage taking home his 2nd award of the day. And best picture, Dirty Harry. So what a year it's been.
Yeah. I think we watched a fantastic slew of awesome movies this season.
Yeah, and you didn't even see the Alligator People.
No, I didn't, but I ranked Lon Chaney Jr. above
Belushi.
Yeah. More like Belushi.
Listen. You're like, oh yeah, Belushi's just high on cocaine. Well, it's not like Lon Chaney wasn't drunk during the Alligator People, though. To be fair, I mean, he probably was. I don't know.
I figured there's a bit more talking instead of putting like cream pie in your mouth and just spitting it.
No,
all
he does
over
yell a lot in that movie, though. You said John Belushi yells too much. Animal House.
That is
Lon
true.
Chaney Jr. yells a lot.
Doesn't John Belushi almost kill that poor girl by throwing a bottle in the party scene in their house?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if that's actually him. I don't know, one, if you see in the movie who throws it, and 2, I'm sure he wasn't actually the one that threw it in the reality of on set.
Yeah.
So, that is our Season 3 awards and recap. We still need to come up with a name for these awards. We'll take suggestions. But meanwhile, we're going to take a bit of a break before our next season, but be sure to follow us on Patreon, patreon.com/Revenge of the Drive-In. There we will continue to release commentary tracks on films that either some films that we've featured on this podcast and many that we haven't as well. Check us out on Twitter at Drive-In Podcast. And check us out on YouTube, because our YouTube channel, in addition to, as Jim mentioned, that video on the Blair Witch Project documentaries, which I believe is the only thing on YouTube that has not been released as part of the podcast, which maybe I will release it as a podcast episode now that we are taking a break, just to keep us out in the ether for people to follow. But, mostly it's just, all of our episodes get posted to YouTube. I also take clips from them, if you don't want to listen to us prattle on for an hour and 45 minutes on the Angry Red Planet and Saw 3, you just want to hear what we have to say about the Angry Red Planet, I've got that as like a 7-minute YouTube video or whatever, however long that discussion was. So,
well, and I just want to take a moment, Patrick, to say thank you for all of your hard work and all of your dedication to this podcast. Anything that anybody sees or hears was essentially created by Patrick. All the YouTube stuff, all the
hey, you
Spotify
made some
stuff.
of the early YouTube stuff.
I
to
did.
be fair, you did.
Yeah, and then I did.
Although you never got me that season 1
You're
recap,
right, I didn't.
so I
It's
eventually
half
just
done.
made it.
I know.
I eventually just made it myself.
I noticed. I felt so bad, and then I
was waiting.
I almost put like a dislike on it. Then I was like, oh wait, I was like, YouTube removed the dislike button. Never mind. But
You're taking to wait. Did YouTube remove the dislike
they did.
button?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I know. I was gonna try to put it. I was gonna try to dislike it, but but yeah, no. So literally, if anybody out there likes our content, I think you mostly have Patrick to thank for that. He's the man behind the screen, pulling all the cords and wires and hitting buttons.
Pull the string. That will go see.
But yeah, so thanks,
Glen or
Patrick.
Glenda. But yeah, no. But Jim, I want to thank you for. I know you've been super busy with other stuff, so thank you for obviously taking the time to do this when you get the chance. I also want to shout out to all of the guests that we had on this season. That's my friend Sean, my friend Josh, Feck, of course, who was also featured on that Blair Witch YouTube documentary discussion.
Feck. Cool dude.
Yeah, he's the only one of these folks that I believe you've interacted with. And then also Jared. He was on the episode of the Delta Force and Young Rebels. As I mentioned, neither of those films were nominated for jack shit. So unfortunately, he wasn't, at least by the movies, he wasn't on one of our better episodes. Although I do think that episode was pretty good. And I think that's, and of course Kevin, who was on our Martin and Alligator People episode. So Kevin's someone I've known for a long time, and he's a borderline expert on some of these like exploitation movie stuff that's really weird stuff. He's always someone that I can I can't always talk to you about some of these things because you don't know what they are. But yeah, I shot him a message the other day. I'm like, hey, have you seen any of these movies? And he's like, yeah, he usually.
And he's like, yeah, dude, all of them.
Yeah. So yeah. So thanks for all of our guests. Thank you, Jim. And listen, our listeners, we wouldn't be here without you. I mean, we might be, but just no one would be listening to us. So, yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure. This was a lot of fun this season. It was, and you know what we're going to figure out in this season, end of season break?
What are we going to figure out?
Well, we're gonna revamp a few things. I've already told you, Jim, the list that we select from is being completely stripped down, and I'm starting from the top again, and that list is probably close to being done. So potential for a lot of the same kinds of movies, but a lot of different kinds of movies as well. And then also we're gonna have to figure out, or at least it's my goal to be better about a more consistent schedule, because we got away from it the last few months, and it was my fault as well as yours. We have both
Definitely
ourselves
my
to blame.
fault,
So
yes.
I'm gonna see what I can do about that on my end, certainly. So because we hope to continue to entertain you in the future.
Yeah, I think that's true. Very true. I agree.